Hello, students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We continue with our modern world history series by looking at the Renaissance in Northern Europe. Yes, it's different. Don't forget that there's a link for a fill-in-the-blank worksheet down in the description. Okay, let's go. By the 1400s, Northern Europe began to enjoy the economic growth needed to develop its own Renaissance. I say own because as the Renaissance spread, the Northern Renaissance came to have an identity of its own. An astounding invention, probably one of the most impactful of inventions, the printing press, helped to spread Renaissance ideas. In about 1455, Johann Gutenberg printed the first complete edition of the Bible using the new printing press. And the printing press caused a printing revolution. Before, books were made by hand. They were rare and expensive. It was mostly the clergy that hand wrote them. If you write the books, you control the information. Printed books were cheaper and easier to produce. Now, more books were available, so more people learn to read. Printed books, written by dudes that were not part of the clergy, exposed Europeans to new ideas and new places. The Northern Renaissance began in the prosperous cities of Flanders, a thriving center of trade. Flanders is a region in the Belgium area, in case you are as geographically challenged like I am. Flemish painters pursued realism in their art. One of the most important Flemish painters was Jan van Eyck. Forgive me, I don't speak Flemish, so I'm going to mispronounce some things here. He portrayed townspeople and religious scenes in rich detail. Peter Bruegel used vibrant color to portray lively scenes of peasant life. Peter Paul Rubens blended the tradition of Flemish realism with themes from mythology, the Bible, and history. German painter Albrecht Dürer traveled to Italy to study the techniques of the Italian masters. He soon became a pioneer in spreading Renaissance ideas to Northern Europe. Dürer applied the painting techniques he learned in Italy to engraving. Many of his engravings and paintings portray the theme of religious upheaval. Northern European humanists and writers also helped to spread Renaissance ideas. The Dutch priest and humanist Desiderius Erasmus called for a translation of the Bible into the vernacular so it could be read by a wider audience. Vernacular, in case you don't know, is a local language. The Bible at the time was only in Latin, which was already a dying language. The English humanist Sir Thomas More called for social reform in the form of a utopian or ideal society in which people live together in peace and harmony. The towering figure of Renaissance literature, however, was the English poet and playwright that fills your literature book with stuff that is hard to read, but you have to read it anyways, William Shakespeare. His 37 plays are still performed around the world. Shakespeare's genius was in expressing universal themes, such as the complexity of the individual in everyday, realistic settings. He used language that people understand and enjoy. Shakespeare's love of words also enriched the English language with 1,700 new words. Earlier, I had said that the Northern Renaissance had an identity of its own. Sure, the style of art and literature was different, and that is important. But what really separated the two regional Renaissances was the idea of humanism. The Italian Renaissance's humanism was a more secular humanism. They looked for the truth in the classical text. The Northern Renaissance's humanism was more of a biblical humanism. They were still looking for the truth, but they were looking for it in the words of the Bible. They would search for biblical texts as close to the original ancient Greek that they were written in and translate them into the vernacular. When they did this, they found that their versions were pretty different from the ones that the church was using. Something fishy is going on here, and spoiler alert, there's going to be a reaction that we will discuss during our next video. Recap time! Northern Europe's economy finally started to catch up with Italy. It took them longer because if you remember from the last video, geography. There was art and literature in the north too, but it was different. Everyday life was appreciated by a bunch of dudes with names that are hard to pronounce. One name I can pronounce is William Shakespeare. I bet that there are words in this video that he created. The writers of the time also celebrated the everyday language and started translating the Bible into the vernacular. The printing revolution caused by the new printing press made that way easier and cheaper. The Northern Renaissance did have some similarities to its Italian sister, but just like any other siblings, there are some pretty big differences. And that is the Renaissance in Northern Europe nutshelled. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Which Renaissance was better? Let us know in the comments down below.